Hi YouTube, Dutch McDowell here. It's about time I talk about the actual issues at hand, because after doing a lot of research, I've learned that I don't have ADHD, nor bipolar disorder or borderline. I've had PTSD from a young age, which has always been misdiagnosed. This is from a Dutch website about PTSD. I've translated it myself, so please don't mind any errors. People with PTSD often seclude themselves as they try to prevent situations which might trigger the trauma. This often leads to emotional numbness. They react like they are under influence of narcotics. Sometimes there can also be issues with memory. The mind tries to protect itself to block memories which trigger which trigger too much trauma. However, people people try to prevent triggers from happening. As long as the actual events haven't been accepted and integrated, you will constantly be faced with their consequences. As suffer as sufferers of PTSD, as such, sufferers of PTSD are under constant mental stress and always on edge. This causes them to be irritated and scared at the same time, which causes concentration and sleep problems, amongst others. Guilt and low self-esteem are also often part of the mix. If PTSD continues for a long time, the psychological problems can increase and depression, suicidal thoughts, and aggression are added. For those in the direct environment of one suffering of PTSD, this can have huge consequences. Because of the traumatic because the traumatic experiences can't be processed, the sufferer is locked inside of himself, locked in the trauma. The combination of emotional numbness and and a perpetual terrible mood will undeniably cause more tension. So, yeah. Well, my memory or my first memory is from when I was 6. I was scared of my mother because of fear of punishment. I was already depressed and secluded at my 12th, and at my 15th I was suicidal. And beside that, I've had a bad mood as long as I can remember. This combined with everything else has led me to conclude that it has always been PTSD and that the ADHD, borderline, and bipolar disorder were merely misinterpreted. I certainly had those symptoms. However, PTSD and bipolar disorder and borderline have a very large um, overlap between the two. So, yeah, beside that, who would expect a young child to have PTSD? That's something for war veterans. Well, guess not, as that description is like a verbatim account of my life. On top of that, I have always been blamed for already being this damaged from such a young age, and all the while therapists are getting paid to screw me over some more. And that was that for today. As for the quote of today, or as for the quote of the day, it will be from Dale Archer. You have to understand that PTSD has to be an event that you experience, a very traumatic event. And actually, there is evidence that brain chemistry changes during this event in certain individuals where it's imprinted indelibly forever, and there's an emotion associated with this which triggers the condition.